Okay, so anyone looking to ride this AI wave is going to have their eyes on the chip makers, right? I mean, Nvidia, TSMC, these companies are...
Yeah, they're the foundation, the backbone of this whole boom.
Exactly. And we've got all the research right here, so let's just dive right in. Nvidia, they're like the rock stars. Yeah.
At least for now.
Haha. Okay, so their GPUs are everywhere. Everyone wants them.
It's pretty impressive their hold on the data center GPU market. I mean, we're talking almost a 98% share. Everyone relies on them, from like Amazon and Microsoft, all the big cloud guys, all the way down to like those little AI startups, you know?
It's true, and their stock price definitely reflects that. Almost a 1,000% jump just this year.
They've been
wild.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride.
But I'm seeing some potential downsides here, some risks.
Yeah, that's where things get a little...
Interesting.
Yeah. NVIDIA's success, it kind of depends on this whole AI thing becoming like wildly profitable.
Which is not a guarantee.
Right, and right now, companies are still trying to figure out how to turn all this AI potential, all this hype, into actual earnings, consistent earnings.
So betting on NVIDIA is kind of like betting on AI itself.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you have that much dominance, it attracts competition.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Amazon, Microsoft.
They're not going to just sit back.
Exactly. They're all looking at designing their own chips, right? So they're less reliant on NVIDIA. That could change the game completely.
It's like depending on one super powerful supplier, then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, maybe I want to do this myself.
Right, it's risky. It
is risky, and it's not just like the big guys, right? This article mentioned AMD is coming for them too.
Oh yeah, AMD's gunning for them. Their new MI325X accelerator that's aimed right at NVIDIA's market share. Plus their whole business model is different, right? AMD, they design and manufacture their chips. That gives them a flexibility on pricing and supply that NVIDIA just doesn't have.
Okay, so even for a powerhouse like NVIDIA, there are some serious challenges out there. It's like that old saying, what goes up
must come down.
Or at least face some competition.
Yeah, and that's what makes this whole sector so fascinating. High stakes, tons of innovation, and a whole lot of uncertainty.
Which brings us to our next contender, TSMC. Now, this is where I think things get really, really interesting. So we've got NVIDIA designing these chips, but TSMC, they're the ones actually building them.
Talk about the power behind the throne.
Right.
TSMC is like the definition of quiet giant.
Yeah.
They're the world's largest contract chip manufacturer. So they're making the hardware for, you name it, Apple, Broadcom.
They're everywhere.
Everybody's there.
So they're kind of quietly running the show from behind the scenes. But how does that translate into like an investment opportunity?
Well, this article said their financials are like rock solid.
Oh, yeah.
39% jump in revenue last quarter.
They're not messing around.
That's not just riding the wave. That's like
building the surfboard.
Yeah. And they're doing it incredibly efficiently, too. I mean, their profit margins, the envy of the industry.
So how do they do it? What's their secret sauce?
Well, they've really honed in on their niche. By focusing solely on manufacturing, they've become masters at it.
Makes sense.
It's a high-volume, high-precision business, and they've got it down to a science.
So they're benefiting from this huge AI demand, but they're not, like, completely dependent on any one company to succeed.
Exactly, yeah. They're diversified. They've got their hands in everything, smartphones, data centers, you name it. So even if one area slows down, they've got others.
It's like that whole don't put all your eggs in one basket thing.
Exactly. So it's a less volatile play, definitely, compared to something like NVIDIA.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the future? Because, I mean, we're talking about tech here. Things move fast. Are there signs that TSMC can keep up?
From what we're seeing, they're not just keeping up, they're pulling ahead.
Really?
Remember those challenges we were talking about facing Intel and Samsung?
Yeah.
TSMC is in a prime position to capitalize on that.
So they're going to scoop up even more of the market share while the others are playing catch-up.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, they're investing heavily in new technologies, things like, the stuff they'll need for the next generation of AI chips.
So they're not just, like, riding the current wave. They're already, like, prepping for the next one.
Exactly.
That's impressive.
It speaks to their long-term vision, which, for investors, that's crucial.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this straight. We've got NVIDIA, which is kind of like the high risk, high reward, right? Betting on them is betting on AI dominance.
Right.
And then you've got TSMC, which is more like the
steady, the efficient giant.
Yeah, quietly powering this whole industry. It's almost like comparing apples and oranges, isn't it?
In a way, yeah. I mean, both are essential to the AI ecosystem, but they represent such different facets of it.
Totally.
They have different risk profiles, different potential rewards.
So how does someone listening to this, how do they decide which one is right for them?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Well, it all comes down to understanding yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Your investment style, how much risk you're comfortable with, what are your goals?
That makes sense.
Like, are you looking for that moonshot, put it all on the line, potential for massive returns?
Fingers crossed.
Exactly, but also might be a little more volatile.
Or are you playing the long game? Something more like stable, a company with a good track record,
Yeah, a little more steady, a little less
predictable, but still got a good outlook.
Exactly.
So it's not as simple as just picking what everyone's calling the hot stock. You really gotta
understand the businesses.
Yeah. What are their strategies? What are the risks?
Yeah, and remember, we're still like early days.
Oh yeah, this AI thing is just getting started.
The whole landscape is going to keep changing,
which is exciting, but also kind of makes you want to just like
put your money into the mattress.
A little bit, yeah. So how do you keep up with all this? Like, how do I know my investments are still on the right track?
Well, that's the thing, right? You gotta stay curious.
Okay.
Keep learning. Read everything you can get your hands on.
So you're saying it's not just like pick your stock and then forget about it.
No way. You got to be paying attention.
Okay.
Because you might have to adjust your strategy as you go.
That's where a deep dive like this comes in handy, right?
Exactly.
Dark.
Learning the basics.
Getting those fundamentals down.
It really does put you in a better position to like actually understand what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
This has been honestly really eye-opening for me. I'll be honest. I always thought of like chip stocks as kind of like this little tiny corner of the tech world.
Yeah.
But it's so much bigger than that. They're like the foundation for all of it.
It's the engine, right? Without those powerful chips, the algorithms, all the data analysis, all the cool stuff, it just wouldn't be possible, at least not on the scale we're seeing. It's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for someone listening to this, maybe they're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information. What's like the one thing you want them to take away?
Don't chase the hype. Like, look, it's easy to get caught up in the headlines.
Yeah, for sure.
But take the time. Understand the businesses. Look at the financials.
Do your research.
Exactly. And most importantly, invest in a way that you're comfortable with. Something that aligns with your own goals and your own risk tolerance.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Great advice. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Remember, everyone, knowledge is power, especially in the world of investing. So stay curious, stay informed, and happy investing. We'll see you next time.